We are live. We are live. Welcome to college football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to this channel, ring the notification bell, smash the like button, share the video if you want to support. If you want to support this national independent college football's rebel outpost with a donation to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel, just hit that $ where you make your comment and I'll get you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into this studio. This studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. We have got a stack show. We've got an unbelievable stack show tonight. It is February 24th. February 24th. You know, February 24th is a date that lives on here at College Football Peek Around the Corner. Back in 2022, December 26th, we had a live show, and I talked about how Florida State was going to say something, and in a couple of months, they were going to come out and say something to basically say to the ACC, we're not happy with the revenue distribution. We're not happy and eventually we're going to put their stake in the ground. 2 months later, February 24th, 2023, Michael Alford comes out and says what he needed to say. February 24th was also the date that a couple years back, in which we said here at Peek Around the Corner, for the very first time officially, that the Big 12 was favored to be able to poach the Pac-12. Starting with Colorado at the center of the stage. And that drama went on to July 27th of that same year. So February 24th is kind of one of those days that kind of has a memorable show after it's all said and done with. Tonight, SEC only world. I did not coin that phrase. SEC only world. That came from our friend Matt Hayes of USA Today. There is a lot of barking going on in the southeastern part of this country. A lot of barking about maybe, just maybe, we should go alone. SEC only world. Matt Hayes talked about it again a few days ago. We're going to go over that. Texas is barking. Texas A&M, Mike Elko is barking. They seem to be all bark, or maybe it's called singing. Maybe they're all singing from the same songbook. They're wondering what are we doing? Why should we even schedule any of these big time non-conference games? We're not getting rewarded for it. Don't they understand? Doesn't the Big 10 and the Big 12 and the ACC, don't they understand that we're going to 9 conference games? We can't be playing Notre Dame. And we've talked about this before. Notre Dame is getting a little nervous. Marcus Freeman talked to Joe Klatt, I don't know, sometime before last season started on an interview. Go ahead and Google it. Marcus Freeman said, if Joe Klatt was asking him questions about, can you maintain football independence at Notre Dame? And Marcus Freeman basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, it's difficult. Pavakwa, he's saying it's getting more difficult. Marcus Freeman said if the SEC goes to 9 conference games, it's going to be more difficult. We're going to have to look at it. Well, the Southeastern Conference is going to 9 conference games. And I've said this before. I don't want the Big 10 people to get all upset. I don't want the Big 12 people to get all upset. I don't want the ACC people to get all upset. I don't want Notre Dame to get all upset, even though a lot of you think I love getting you all upset, right? I'm a rabble-rouser. I'm a grifter. But the Southeastern Conference, they're in DEFCON 1. They're just not that into you. Greg, you are an SEC homer. Greg, you've never liked the Big Ten. You've always been a Big Ten hater. Man, I get accused of everything, which means I'm sitting in the right spot when it comes to talking about national college football information and news and reports. No, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I think it's a bad thing. But the Southeastern Conference just isn't that much into you. And there's more and more evidence. We're going to talk about it here at Peek Around the Corner. We're not going to shy away from it. We're not going to pretend that everybody's walking in lockstep. Doo-dah, doo-dah, doo-dah. We're not going to, in fact, not only am I not going to say that we're all walking in lockstep, I am this close. I am this close. This close. I am determined. You know what? I think I'm going to do it. I think it's time for another memorable PATC rendition. Why not? Why not? There's a song sitting out there. There's a song that everybody's saying, Greg, you got to do this song. You've got to do it. I cannot sing it. I cannot sing it. It's too wide of a range. I got to go way down. I got to sing it in a completely different key. And I still can't sing the song. I can't sing it. But you know what? That's never stopped me before. I've had horrible performances here at College Football Peek Around the Corner. Horrible performances. But yet we keep on moving. We keep on going. We keep on getting up on that stage. I am this close. I am 95% there. I think I'm going to break out PATC rendition. Yep, I said it. Yep. Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac, Go Your Own Way. If we're going to be talking about SEC Silo, then we're going to have to do a PATC rendition. But first we got to talk about the College Football Peek Around the Corner Hot Seat. The hot seat list going into spring of 2026. In this hot seat list last year was on fire. I mean, literally, when we put a name up remember, we only put up 6 names. I don't do 10. We put up 6 names. And every one of those names got fired during the season. Almost every single one. I know there was one that did not get fired. One name that was on the list that did not get fired, and that man's name is Mike Norvell of Florida State. But every other guy I had up on there got absolutely axed at some point, I believe. Even names that I did not think they were going to actually get axed, but I put them up there as a symbol, like Franklin. But he got axed at Penn State. So we're going to go through the hot list first. And then we're going to talk about all this barking that the SEC is doing. They're not into us. They're just not that into us. Let's do a roll call to get this started. Thank you all for joining us. Edward, the Auburn Tiger, is in the house. Don Scruggs, Georgia Bulldogs. Florida Man, Gold Nose. Rich Austin, Greg the Go Utes. Rod is in the house. Jake Chapman is in the house. Sun Devil Joaquin Morales is in the house. The Ohio Bobcat is here. Stephen Vitt. David B. Go Superman. We have Bear Bachmeyer. Number one on our Big 12 rankings for quarterbacks. If you missed it, go to our live show yesterday. We did the rankings, top 16, 1 through 16 of the quarterbacks in the Big 12. We gave them our preseason PATC rankings. Zero Wiz is in the house. Thank you for coming on in, Sparty. I appreciate it. Chef Maul is here. The Cornhusker Skaven, yes, yes, is here. The architect has made it in. Tom DeBay. Thank you for coming on in, Tom DeBay. SCC will be going silo. Now, I haven't officially said that. I'm reporting on the possibility, but I have not and I still don't think it's the Chalk. But they are at the bottom of the hill at Silo Mountain, and they're starting to climb up that mountain. They're starting to climb up, but I haven't, I don't think it's a Chalk, but it should be a growing concern for everybody, in my opinion. Expansion Crush is in the house. Stephen Vitt, by the way, I'm still dealing with the Sacramento State Hornets being in the MAC. Edward, the Auburn Tiger. The SEC golden years begin. The SEC creating its own universe. Stormy Cyclone, a day that will live in infamy. Taylor on the tube. Go Pokes. Oklahoma State Cowboy, thank you for coming on in. The Buckeye, Caleb Ramirez. Karan Shakar. Every one of your shows are memorable. Thank you, Karan. The great Matt Hayes. Nick Kelsel. Lee Go Gators. If Elko is complaining about not getting rewarded for a big out-of-conference games, he's an idiot. He's an idiot. He's an idiot for thinking that A&M was getting into last year's playoffs without that win. Boy, that is a... We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it, Lee Go Gators. I have no idea. I have no idea what Mike Elko's complaining about, to be honest. But I do think it's a symptom of the disease, or whatever you want to call it. It's the symptom of the diagnosis. Texas A&M is like, why did we play Notre Dame? Why did we play them? It was a big risk to us. We beat them, and look what they put us in the playoffs. Where do you think you should have been put, Texas A&M? I don't understand Mike Elko's argument. He's not the only one making it. Don Scruggs, shame, Notre Dame. Jose, Gophers are SEC homers. Bill G, the incredible edible Bill G, thank you for coming on in. Appreciate it. Appreciate it so very much. Chris Kinney is here. The other Gygax is in the house. Thank you, Daniel, for coming on in. The Grateful Trojan, Fight On, is in the house. We've got a $2 holler. Thank you for starting us off this wonderful February 24th evening. Helmer Henderson. $2 holler. Don't bend any further. Let the SEC walk. My goodness. Holy smokes, Helmer Henderson, let the SEC walk. My goodness. Troy's in the house. Thank you coming on in, Troy. Thank you, sir. Elmo is posturing, Chris Kenny. Right now, all the SEC has marching orders to moan about their scheduling. Okay, let's get into it. First of all, we've got to announce tonight. Last night, it was about the Big 12 quarterback rankings, 1 through 16. Bear Bachmeier was number 1. Brendan Sorsby was number 2 on that list. If you missed it, go watch it last night. Tonight is the 2026 head coach hot seat list. 1 through 6. 1 through 6. Who do you think is on that list? Put it in the chat. I'll give you about 10 seconds. Who do you think is on the 2026 CFB PATC Head Coach Hot Seat list? I do not have Coach Prime on it. I do not have Coach Prime on it. I see that he's on some hot seat lists. I don't have Coach Prime on it. Kenneth Maynard's got Norvell. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put Norvell on there. Colorado Buffalo Buff says, hey Greg, you're gonna be way off on Julian Lewis with the go offense with Coach Marion. Hopefully I am. Hey, Wabbit is in the house. He's saying Jeff Levy. Busoff 95, Dave Aranda. Karan Shakari says Mike Novell, Luke Fickell, Dave Aranda, Mike Loxley. We're going to find out how accurate Karan Shakar is. Skaven yes says Matt Rule. I don't have Matt Rule on the hot seat list, but you know how I feel, Skaven yes. I think Nebraska, I think last year should have been Matt Rule's year to break through. I don't think this is going to be a breakthrough year for Matt Rule. I could be wrong. I could be dead wrong. But they got a more difficult schedule. And I don't think they got the quarterback that they had last year. They don't have the running back they had. I don't see it happening for Matt Rule here in 2026. At some point, he might make it on the list. But tonight, going into the spring, he is not on the 2026 head coach hot seat list. Okay, let's get into it. Kenneth Maynard says Beamer. Tom DeBay says I could see Bill O'Brien. You guys did a great job. Great job at putting down the name because you are accurate. PATC Hot Seat Watch headed in the spring of 2026. Number 6, Bill O'Brien, Boston College. Last year was terrible. It was terrible. Mike Loxley. Now, Maryland has been really patient with Mike Loxley. This is second year of Malik Washington. Mike Loxley, they got to get it done this year. I'm talking they got to get 8 wins this year. 8 wins. I don't know if 7 does it. They got to go 8. Shane Beamer, look, you've got Lenore Sellers coming back, the quarterback. You've got Dylan Stewart coming back. You've got that wide receiver who can run like the wind. The name is escaping me right now. He's coming back. You've got your top line guys coming back. You've got a new offensive coordinator that you needed desperately. You're trying to build a new offensive line. And of course, the guy you got in the portal got injured. But from North Carolina State, but it sounds like he might be back before game number 1 of the season. Shane Beamer's got to be on this list. Got to be on this list. Number 3, Luke Fickell. Now, Luke Fickell might be a guy who can fight his way off this list. Wisconsin's got a manageable schedule. A lot of people like their quarterback that they got. We're going to talk about him in the next. We're going to do the Big Ten next when it comes to the quarterback rankings. Luke Fickell could fight his way off this spring hot seat watch list. Number 2, Dave Aranda. Now, as you noticed on last night's show, I'm not a believer in DJ Legway. I don't think Dave Aranda had a choice. I think they had to roll the dice. Maybe Legway, maybe this all works out for Baylor Bears. Maybe Legway is the guy that everybody thought he was coming out of high school. Maybe he's going to be completely healthy. Maybe he's going to be able to play at a very high level for his father's alma mater, the Baylor Bears. And if that happens, if all that happens, then Dave Aranda is not going to be on this list for very long. But right now, I've got to put him at number 2. I think this ship is sinking. We're going to find out together. Dave Aranda is number 2 on the list. And Mike Norvell, I had to put him at number 1. I'm hoping that that Sperry, the other quarterback, emerges. I do not like Daniels. I don't like. I think Mike Norvell is in deep trouble. Not to say that Florida State is going to have a brutal season. I don't think they probably will have a brutal season, but I don't think it's going to be good enough to keep Mike Norvell. But we'll find out together. Mike Norvell, number 1 on the PATC Spring Hot List. Number 2, Dave Aranda. Number 3, Luke Fickell. Number 4, Shane Beamer. Number 5, Mike Loxley. Number 6, Bill O'Brien. So put it in the chat or give me a call later in the show. Let me know how wrong I got it. But a lot of you put the same names that I've got on the hot seat list. We've got consensus between the PATC Einsteins and the fat guy from Minnesota. I don't have Bill Belichick on there. I don't have Matt Rule on there. I don't have Deion Sanders on there. I feel good about the 6 that I have on there right now. All right, so there it is. We had to put it out there. The spring hot seat list. It may change in August. Maybe there's going to be some crucial injuries, and and things are going to go completely pear-shaped for like a Luke Fickell, like a Bill Belichick, maybe a Deion Sanders, where everything is. But we'll wait to August before we change this hot seat list. Now, the other guy gacks, Florida State can't afford to fire Norvell. They might not be able to afford not to fire Mike Norvell if the season goes really pear-shaped on them once again. Okay. All right. Let's talk about it. Kirk Bohls, Texas Longhorns, longtime beat writer. Texas' upcoming football games against Notre Dame remain in limbo. Texas is definitely keeping such return games with the Buckeyes in Michigan in 2027 because those two schools, because the schools want the big gates for home games, and the Longhorns have already played at their stadiums at Ohio State and Michigan. So, of course, Texas is going to keep the Buckeye in the Wolverine games because they're going to be playing at Texas. Del Conte says, the athletic director, Texas, he has no current plans to replace the Arizona State games in 2032 or 2033 because he doesn't want to schedule into the 2030s because of the unknown factor of the college football playoff expansion and the demands of a new 9-game SEC schedule. He said the home and away series with the Sun Devils was arranged only because Texas needed a game in 2024. And Louisiana Monroe had Arizona State on the schedule and replaced it with the Longhorns. Texas beat ULM 51-3 at Royal, Memorial Stadium. We were looking for a game, so we agreed to play Arizona State down the road, knowing we were never going to play that game, Del Conte said. It was a mutually agreed upon thing. It was like a throw-in to get the Monroe game. Del Conte said he and other athletic directors are reconsidering their scheduling objectives because of the state of the college football playoff is in flux, with the expansion of the field on hold until at least 2027. Because the SEC and the Big Ten could not agree on whether to grow the field to 16 or 24 teams. The field will remain at 12 teams for a third season in 2026. Again, Kirk Bohls, long-time Longhorn beat writer. Georgia has canceled series with North Carolina State and Louisville. Alabama has backed out of games with West Virginia. Are we at 12 teams or are we at 16? Posed Del Conte, who said he favors expansion. There's been floated out ideas of 24 teams, the Army of 24, PATC. I would tell you that the most critical thing for us is to do for the value of our TV partners in college is always the regular season. The regular season economics are so critical to our enterprise. However, the postseason is where you want to be. If you, in my belief, expand the playoff, you strengthen the regular season. All of a sudden, people are not afraid to have the big games in the regular season. You can lose 3 games and still get in. Well, then you should be for 24. You should be for 24. Especially the 4-4-4-4-2-6. Texas finished 9-3 in the regular season last year with losses to Ohio State, as well as to Florida and Georgia in the SEC, and was omitted from the playoffs as the number 13th ranked team. So, Kirk Bohls. Texas' upcoming football games against Notre Dame remain in limbo. Notre Dame games are not even secure with SEC, Texas, and other teams' games. Very, 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 very interesting. Now, Matt Hayes, our friend Matt Hayes of USA Today, Trinidad Chambliss-led death of NCAA could lead to birth of an SEC-only world. SEC-only world. So now the judge in the Trinidad Chambliss eligibility case wants the NCAA to explain why it walked out of his courtroom before he wept while reading his soliloquy of the poor, mistreated college football player. This is bad news for all involved, not just the judge in his wildly provincial antics, but the president it's set and the dire straits of the NCAA. It really isn't even about the NCAA. It's about the FBS. It's the FBS. It's Let's Right stuff, everyone. The NCAA is just about out of time. Take a stand here and get serious about legally fighting on an eligibility clock all members agree to, or wither away on the vine with barely a sound. You want to end this nonsense of 6 and 7 and 8 years to play 4 or 5 or 6? Put everything you've got legally, got into one critical appeal case. that can send shockwaves through amateur sports, or at least what's left of it. But here's the problem. Even if the NCAA can somehow win on appeal in the Chambliss case and prevent the star quarterback from returning to Ole Miss to play a fifth season, one would think an appeals court in Mississippi may not have a flag-waving, card-carrying member of Hotty Toddy on the bench and may be staring at a much bigger problem. What would prevent Ole Miss, after you lost the appeal in the Chambliss case, to simply say, we don't care what the court said? We don't care about an eligibility clock we agreed to. We don't care anymore. We're going to play Chambliss. What are you going to do about it? As absurd as that sounds, none of us thought we'd be talking about paying a quarterback $6 million for one season after paying millions to get him out of his previous deal. But here we are in the ever-devolving spin cycle. Let's see what we can break next. One would think in that specific scenario, the SEC presidents would step in, and say, Chambliss is ineligible. In any game he plays is forfeited by Ole Miss. You would think the Southeastern presidents would want that. You would think Greg Sankey would fight for that. But Matt Hayes, USA Today. But there is a teeny weeny problem with that. The remaining 15 members of the SEC, or even a majority, may actually support Ole Miss in its fight against the NCAA. They may take a stand too because they want the ultimate payoff, a league of their own. In other words, what Matt Hayes is saying, the SEC is supporting Ole Miss. Even though Greg Sankey came out and talked about eligibility, the SEC is willing, in Matt Hayes' mind, they'd be willing to take this whole thing down so they can do what they want. The ultimate payoff, the ultimate playoff, a league of their own, an SEC only world. No more bickering with the Big Ten about some dopey 2014 playoff. No more adhering to makeup as you go along with enforcement from the NCAA. Just the SEC. Just the SEC. Heaven, heaven, glorious heaven. Just the SEC, its own rule book, and television partner, ESPN, and a fat revenue-generating playoff of its own. My God, a 6-team SEC playoff with 2 first-round byes in every game but the championship game played on campus. The final round played in Atlanta, the mecca of Bubba. Now, I don't quite understand what Matt Hayes is saying here. I think he meant a 16-team SEC playoff. Every game but the championship game played on campus. He did not mean 6-team. I don't think he did. But, again, not sure what Matt Hayes is quite saying there. But he's on a roll, so let's not stop. He's on a roll. Matt Hayes is on a roll here. It's not that difficult to envision or pull off. It doesn't take anything but will and desire. A 12-game SEC-only schedule feeding into an SEC-only postseason. Go back to divisions. Play the 7 teams in your own division and rotate 5 teams from the opposite division. You want annual crossover rivals like the OG SEC? Serve it up, baby. 12-game SEC only schedule and an SEC only postseason. Matt Hayes, imagine the money ESPN will pay annually for an 8 SEC versus SEC games a week, or 97 SEC games over a season, including the 16 5-game playoff. I guess he really did mean a 16 playoff. Now that's something to weep about, Judge. That is something to weep about. The barking continues. The barking continues. Texas, Notre Dame games are in limbo. Georgia's president is saying we might have to go our own way. We'll get to that in a moment. PATC rendition is coming up, ladies and gentlemen. So you got to get ready to get the dogs, the children out of the room. Look, we've got Mike Elko. Mike Elko. I'm not going to play the interview. Mike Elko says Notre Dame game was all risk. All risk. Texas A&M coach Mike Elko joined others receiving votes and talked about how scheduling a non-conference powerhouse in Notre Dame didn't help the Aggies last year. You gotta be kidding me. But I'm not. This is the transcript. We're not going to go through the whole thing. This is the Mike Elko. You know, we're an 11-1 football team who beat Notre Dame. But I don't know where that showed up. When you look at us compared to 11-1 teams, you know from 4 to 7, all those teams finished 11-1, and we had the most signature out-of-conference win, and we were number 7. Mike Elko's complaining that they were number 7. Well, maybe because the other teams had bigger wins on their conference schedule. It just so happens that Texas A&M did not play the top SEC teams. I don't know. So back to Mike Elko, head coach at Texas A&M. So to me, there was only risk in that game. There was no reward in that game. So I think, it's a challenging situation. Year in, year out, the NFL tells us that the most NFL talent is spread evenly throughout the SEC, which makes our conference top to bottom one of the most challenging gauntlets to go through. How do you equate that? How does that get quantified? I don't know. They're still having a hard time figuring that out. So then you throw in these out of conference when really the only thing that seems to matter on these schedules is wins and losses. So again, the tweaks that they made with the metrics and everything, it did not satisfy the Southeastern Conference. The Southeastern Conference did not like the seeding last year. They didn't like it the year before. They don't want. The Southeastern Conference is just not that into us. People outside teams, conferences outside the Southeastern Conference, they're just not that into us. Texas lost to Florida. That's what got them. There's only 12 teams. Now, I keep saying, expand to 24. And no, can't do that. But then people are bitching and moaning about the 12-team playoff because there's not enough. Adding 4 playoff teams ain't gonna solve it. You gotta go to 24. People, you gotta get that through your heads. The Southeastern Conference, they're just not that into us. This whole thing, I know you old timers out there are having a hard time grasping this. I'm an old timer. I'm having a hard time grasping this. Even though I keep reporting it, I keep reporting it. This SEC silo, it's got some traction. It does. I don't think it's the chalk, but it's got some traction. Mike Elko, Texas A&M. When Southeastern Conference teams are considering dropping the Notre Dame game, come on. What other evidence do you need? What other evidence do you need? The SEC is looking to go their own way. They're looking to go their own way. Some people in the Southeastern Conference are pushing this to go their own way. And that brings us up to this. We haven't had one of these in a while. Get ready to hit the mute button. Get the dogs and the cats and the children out of the room. I'm giving you 5 seconds to get them out of the room. PATC rendition. Fleetwood Mac, go your own way. Loving you isn't the right thing to do. How can I ever change things that I feel? If I could, baby, I'd give you my world. How can I when you won't take it from me? You can go your own way. Go your own way. You can call it another lonely day. You can go your own way. Go your own way. Tell me why everything turned around. Packing up, shacking up is all you want to do. If I could, baby, I'd give you my world. Open up, everything's waiting for you. You can go your own way. Go your own way. You can call it another lonely day. You can go your own way. Go your own way. You can call it another lonely day. You can go your own way. Go your own way. Okay, so terrible performance. The song is not in my range, even though I went. I get it, but it had to be done. Don't blame me. Do not blame the fat guy from Minnesota for that PATC rendition. I was forced into singing that song for you tonight. Forced into that song. All these reports coming out of the Southeastern Conference. All these reports about dropping this game, dropping that game. We don't like this. We don't like that. We don't like the governance of the CSC. We don't like the NCAA. We're going to be dropping Notre Dame games. I was forced into singing that song, a song that I cannot sing. I was forced into it. We're not scared about bad performances here at Peek Around the Corner. If I was scared about bad performances, I would not be making any more picks against the spread. But I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. PATC rendition, Fleetwood Mac, go your own way. SEC, Southeastern Conference. If you're not that into us, If you're not even into playing Notre Dame, go your own way. Put down your comments. Put them in the comments section. Super chat, supersede all. We're going to go to your phone calls here. We've had a loaded show talking about the fight in Irish. Getting a little bit scared. More than a little bit scared about how they're going to be able to get a schedule in the years ahead if the SEC keeps dropping them. We're talking about Matt Hayes' article. Wow, he's all fired up. SEC only world is the SEC beginning to create their own SEC world. Let's get to your phone calls. You can talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Stormy Cyclone. I suddenly have 4 coyotes at my back door. Oh my God. Oh my God.
From
Patron,
the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it.
hey, good evening, Greg. How you doing?
Good evening to you, sir.
Hey, so Greg, a couple things. First thing I want to say is, you had that analogy once where you talked about like you were in high school and you had a crush on that girl and you thought she was into you.
Yeah.
And then you asked her friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she's not that into you. Well, Greg, some of us who are sitting there in the cafeteria watching this whole thing, we kind of knew this whole time, man, she wasn't into you. My point being, Greg, that it may come as a shock or a surprise that, people in the SEC footprint, that they may not be, that heavily into Notre Dame or playing the Big Ten or playing the Big 12. But, Greg, if you just know some of these SEC fans and the communities and the way they view football, they really don't actually care. It doesn't come to me a surprise to me at all.
Yeah.
It's actually, what's more surprising is the fact that you are surprised. I never really got the sense that they were, they had a huge appetite, for a national sport. They liked the regional element. I also kind of like the regional element. They literally have their own chant, right? SEC. So the second thing, Greg, is if you notice in the comments, like a lot of people think that the SEC silos is going to, and presumably if the Big Ten and Big 12 also silo, that it's going to affect the casual viewership negatively. I'm not so sure that this is the case, right? Like clearly the SEC, they've done a lot of research. They have the Goldman Sachs people, which you've mentioned. They have Netflix people. They have Disney people. I think they would have analyzed and projected what the viewership situation might be like if they were to go into their own silo. Mm-hmm. I think, Greg, for a number of reasons, I'll try to keep it short. And, I don't want this to sound biased, but I think that if everybody kind of goes into their silo, Greg, I think the SEC's regular season viewership is going to largely remain intact and potentially with the opportunity to grow. I think it's actually the Big Ten, Greg, that gets hurt a little bit more if they have to go to silos and they kind of have to pivot their strategy, because right now the Big Ten, as you mentioned, is really more focused on November and getting their top brands into the playoffs. Whereas the SEC seems to sort of embrace like a more September to November type of season with big games throughout. And with the exception of Michigan and Texas, most of these Big Ten teams are not playing big out-of-conference games. Would that be correct? I know Minnesota played Cal, but
I don't know. I understand what you're saying, but I do think to take the Big Ten's argument, and I would agree with them. I do think their idea of increasing regular season games by increasing the playoffs absolutely worked when we went from 4 to 12, and it would work even more from 12 to 24. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying that it's all baked in the SEC. They've already got an incredible, valuable regular season. I would argue, though, even though that is true, I would agree with you, Patron, that the SEC's regular season value has increased by going from 4 to 12 for the playoffs because they've got more teams that are more invested later into the season, more fan bases and whatnot. So, but go ahead.
I get what you're saying. I don't think it's entirely attributable to the 12-team playoff, because then we would also see something similar happening with like G5, right? Who has more access, Greg. I think there's actually a different dynamic. Greg, the viewership pattern and like habits of the casual fan is very different from our habits as like diehard sickos, where these casual fans, they just want entertainment. It doesn't even have to be football. Like if you look at the Super Bowl, it's the halftime show and all the drama. If you look at March Madness, it's the bracket. A lot of the casual fans, they want, entertainment. And one of the things that the NFL has done a good job of, Greg, in making their games more entertaining or consistently entertaining is they have a lot of parity in their league, where the gap from the top, like the Seahawks, to the bottom, the Raiders, is pretty slim, where on average, like the average NFL game, the goal is to kind of have the spread under 2 touchdowns, around 10 points, where the game is close going into the fourth quarter. So that regardless of, most NFL fans don't actually have like a team. The casual fans, they just know if they tune into Thursday Night Football or Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football, it's going to be a close, competitive game, usually that goes into the fourth quarter. If you look at the SEC, Greg, that's what they have started to become like. A lot of people say that the SEC is not as good as they used to be. That is actually the top of the SEC. The bottom of the SEC has improved a lot when you look at teams like Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. And what this kind of results in is a compression or a parity in the league where the SEC had the tightest spread of any game this year. If you look at it, so many of these SEC teams, Alabama, Texas, their games went into the fourth quarter, close, entertaining contest. Even a losing team like Arkansas, who had the worst record in the conference, set an SEC record, I think, for the number of losses by one possession. So the games are extremely close, which means that any given Saturday, just like the NFL has any given Sunday, when you tune in to SEC on ABC, it doesn't really matter what the teams are. You know that more often than not, you're going to get some close contest, which creates entertainment value for the casual, non-affiliated fan who's just looking to watch an entertaining game, looking to gamble, stuff like that. Whereas with the Big Ten, Greg, they are a more spread out league. The top of the Big Ten is probably the top of any conference in America right now. But the bottom of the Big Ten, the bottom third was below average in SP+. And what this resulted in is a lot of the games, like on Big Noon Kickoff or CBS, like they were basically like blowouts. Ohio State versus, I don't want to say Minnesota, but, Friday night, Oregon, Minnesota, like you have a high polarization where it's like, man, you don't even feel like Rutgers has a chance of beating Ohio State. You didn't even feel like UCLA had, a chance of beating Indiana. And so, and the problem with the Big Ten is that when they talk about unequal revenue sharing, this is not a league that prioritizes parity, because unequal revenue sharing will only exacerbate the disparity where the haves have even more. Ohio State and Michigan, the teams that have a huge audience, they're getting more money. You can imagine if a Notre Dame were to join the Big Ten, they're probably going to want unequal revenue sharing too. And so that benefits you when you go to the playoffs, because you have these really, really well-financed teams, like Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Notre Dame, Miami, whatever, Oregon. But in the regular season, it manifests in a lot of blowouts. And I'll conclude with it, Greg. I remember during the regular season, I've had this thought in my mind for a while. You mentioned that you changed the channel from Minnesota, Iowa, which had turned into a blowout, to Alabama, South Carolina. Not because you're a Big Ten hater or an SEC homer, but simply put, the game is more entertaining when it's a close one, going into the fourth quarter. Alabama, Georgia, Texas, these teams are willing to kind of have a compressed league where, Texas can go on the road and struggle at Kentucky, or, Georgia can go on the road and struggle at Tennessee or Auburn. But, Ohio State, they don't want to go to Rutgers and be down in the fourth quarter and have to come back, or they don't want to close the gap between them and Minnesota. And I think that means if you go to a silo where it's about the regular season entertainment value, the Big Ten will have to kind of pivot their strategy to one that emphasizes more parity and doesn't benefit the sort of teams at the top. I don't know if that makes sense. That's kind of my spiel.
It does make sense. I would challenge one. I mean, there's been seasons in which you could flip the argument completely 180, where the top of the SEC was so dominant, and it was bragged about and boasted about, and Alabama just rolled through people, and Georgia rolled through people, and you're talking about that Alabama-South Carolina game. Talk about the Alabama-Auburn game. That was a close game.
Yeah.
But during that game, I'm thinking, boy, Alabama ain't going to win the national championship. So I get it. Close game, interesting, competitive. But, they did not.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Greg. But first off, those Alabama, when the SEC was very top-heavy, that was in the pre-NIL era, for the most part. Pre-New World Order and new college football world order. And then actually I also thought about, because you made a big deal about, I remember, like you said, how can Alabama struggle at Auburn, and then people want to put them ahead of Notre Dame and stuff like that. And that's exactly the point. Alabama struggling against Auburn is bad for the playoff version of where Alabama's fighting for the playoff. But when most of your money is now coming from your regular season media contract, and when your ability to market to an international fan base or a young casual audience at a time when you have an exclusive viewership window on Saturday night, when you're not competing with the NFL, you actually want that close competitive game. You want Alabama-Auburn to be close.
I get what you're saying, but I don't think, and I get it, last year, you're absolutely correct. I don't think the Big Ten is actually built for, I don't think there's some secret sauce in the Big Ten that makes blowouts more, like they're going to happen more often. I understand last year, the year before, but look, we've just seen Indiana be a bad football team for 100 years, and look what just happened, right?
True.
Look what Illinois has gone through, and look what they have been doing. So there is upward mobility in the Big Ten. But I understand what you're saying. I get it. It's a very good point. Very good point. I still don't, I'm going to fight against this silo stuff
I know.
day,
Army of 24 fights hard, man.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens. I think.
All right. Thank you, man. I hope you have a good evening.
Appreciate it. Great call, sir. Great call. Beautiful call by Patron once again. Excellent. I don't know, man. Dropping Notre Dame from your schedule. We see USC wanting to drop Notre Dame from their schedule if Notre Dame is not willing to play USC early in the season. Now we're looking at Texas. My goodness. You can see the evidence of silo being created here in real time.
from?
Christopher Hooter.
Christopher Hooter, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You know, Mr. Minnesota Golden Gopher, I think you need to do a Herb Brooks special.
A what?
A Herb Brooks special.
Herb Brooks special.
Yes, from celebrate the Olympic gold medals and that sort of thing.
Yeah, this is a
That's a throwback, right? That's Minnesota, right? I'm not wrong, right?
well, absolutely, it's Minnesota, and it's St. Cloud State, the college that I graduated. He became head coach. He was a hockey coach at St. Cloud State. Got him into Division I. The arena is named after him. But yeah, Minnesota Golden Gopher, Herb Brooks. He's an absolute legend here. Again, the Golden Gophers led, had the most gold medals in the men's and women's Olympic teams, like they do almost every time. But this is a college football YouTube channel, not a hockey channel. If I did a hockey channel, I wouldn't have hardly anybody showing up except for Minnesotans. So, but yeah, congratulations, men's and women's gold medals. I congratulated them yesterday on the live show. Congratulations to everybody who won the medals in the Olympics. Congratulations.
Well, you know, we get sidetracked sometimes. We talk about UFOs and we talk about
we do.
You know, foreign objects coming through the solar system. So,
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Yeah, we do.
It is in the news cycle.
Yeah.
Not to dwell on it, but that really was that was boys against men, and the boys won.
Yeah.
And it really was sensational, right?
It was great.
It's never seen nothing like it.
Yep.
Anyway, back to football here. Well, you know, okay, so they go to their silos. Well, I guess that's where we're going, right?
I don't know. I don't know if we're going there. I do not think it's the chalk. I don't think it's the favorite. Like, I don't see that scenario being the favorite at this point. But it would be ridiculous if we did not talk about it, because you can see all the signals. You can see, you know, Georgia president, Florida athletic director, Mike. I mean, all the actions are speaking louder than even the words. The SEC is definitely looking at it. They're definitely looking at it. So we got to talk about it.
Well, and I read that article a couple of days ago. It was an interesting article. It was an interesting article about the Ole Miss quarterback, a 6-year of eligibility. You know, that's
yeah.
Are they going to play to their 30 now? I mean, when is this going to end, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's getting his postdoc, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Still in school, right? But you know, but for 12 conference games, I'm sure they would juice the contract. Ditto the Big Ten. If they went silo too. Again, I'm not for any of this.
Yeah.
But it's a way to make a lot more money in a time when everybody's whining for more money.
Yeah.
And you know, Elko is kind of right about the Notre Dame game, because the Ohio State game cost Texas a playoff spot.
Did it cost Texas a playoff spot?
Well, let's say they play a chump and they win that game.
Okay.
Then they have 2 losses.
Well, why not beat Florida? The Florida game cost them. Not the loss to Ohio State. The Florida game lost them. And again, if people want to say that, okay, then SEC be for the 2014 playoffs, right?
I agree.
Because a 16.
I'm with you.
I mean, you know, let's go here. Piss, as my father would say, piss or get off the pot. One or the other. One or the other. Because again, it's like, we're not being seeded correctly. We can't afford to play anybody out of conference because our conference is just too tough. Oh, we're not for a 2014 playoff. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you know, you're having your cake and you're eating it too. It's almost like the argument is the SEC wants to have their own playoffs, right? They don't want to, from an outsider, and I'm an outsider. I'm from northern Minnesota. You can tell by my accent.
Yep. You get on the roof, not the roof.
Yeah, you can tell by my singing. It's almost like I'm looking at it as, Patron had a beautiful call, but some of this I'm starting to feel that the Southeastern Conference no longer wants to endanger their brand. They don't want to go out on the football field playoff time. They don't want to get beat again. They want to be ensured that they're going to have a team in the championship game. So they're starting to, we got to tweak it. We got to, this and that. We can't let all these teams in the playoffs. We're so spread out. We're so parity. They're using the Big 12 argument. We are so evenly Steven among ourselves. You can't blame us for not having a team winning the national championship because we are so parity driven here in the SEC. So I don't know. I don't want it to go. I don't want us to go to silos because, man, I would, as a college football sicko, I would not like that. But go ahead, sir.
Well, I wouldn't like it either. I think if you went in your silo and if you were allowed to have a multi-conference playoff, maybe we can live with it. I don't know. For a little while until they transition to something else. But I want to go back to the Texas thing in Ohio State. So in 2024, Texas spanked Florida in Austin. Florida wasn't, they were okay.
Yeah.
But they're a talented football team and they're mad. And that was kind of one of my picks of the year. I think Florida's going to do it. And I just kind of could feel it coming, right? That happens, right? It's the return game.
Yep.
It's a home game. And they put it to them, and those things happen, especially in league play.
Yeah, they do. Yep.
And the Ohio State thing was a week 1 game with a rookie quarterback. So
yes, absolutely. Another big reason why we need a larger playoff.
Yeah. So, I think I know you're dwelling on the silos, but what I took from the article was the Chambliss issue, and that he's going to get his 6th year, and what's going on with the NCAA? Is it dead on arrival? I mean, is it I'm not sure what's happening there. Well, what's going to happen when somebody goes and plays a year in the NFL and washes out and wants to come back to college?
Yeah,
you can't tell me I can't go back to school.
Yeah,
I'm going to go to court.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I'll tell you, man, it's maybe living interesting times.
Yeah, it's crazy, and we're going to follow every part of it here at PATC.
I appreciate that. And then we had mentioned a couple weeks ago about I'm changing gears now. The Rutgers debt problem. Now, some of that might be due to infrastructure spending.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the Penn State debt, it's not really a problem, but some of the Penn State debt is due to construction and infrastructure. That kind of debt should be carved out. That's a different kind of debt, right? You're spending money, but you have an asset that balances on the balance sheet. That's different than annual. What are we doing annually, right? So I think sometimes we get lost in the minutia. Oh my God, they're in so much debt. Wait, there's more to the story, right? Anyway, all right. I've been rambling. Okay, enjoy the program. You're the man. I appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Yes, sir. Bye.
Look, I've argued this over and over and over again. Texas Longhorns were a playoff team last year. They just were. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Texas was a playoff team last year. They lost a close game to the Buckeyes. They had an Art first-time starter. They were 9-3. They should have been in the playoffs. In this day and age,
From
Rick, can you hold on for a second?
Oh, you bet.
I appreciate it. In my opinion, the Texas Longhorns should have been a playoff team. BYU should have been a playoff team. Vanderbilt should have been a playoff team. The Iowa Hawkeyes should have been a playoff team. It's not big enough. It's not big enough. And everybody's trying to figure out. It's just like my wife, the little general. I love the little general. She's coming home, hopefully safely here from Mexico soon. We've made arrangements. But it's like my wife trying to figure out how to put all this in a suitcase. To put all this stuff, the suitcase ain't big enough. It ain't big enough. I don't care if you put the box, if you put your clothes in this way or that way. I don't care where you put your hair dryer. At some point you run out of space. It ain't how you're stuffing the suitcase. It's you're just running out of space. You need another suitcase. We need another suitcase in this era of college football. With NIL, with this talent being spread out, with the more parity SEC. We need another suitcase. We need another suitcase. And just adding a carry-on bag from going to 12 to 16 ain't enough. It's not enough. We need another whole suitcase. And the airplane, which means the consumer, the people that love college football, the advertisers, the airplane can handle everybody bringing on 2 suitcases. But there is some people out there that don't want to go to 2 suitcases. They want to stay in 1 suitcase because they feel more comfortable. There's more leg room. The first class people are going to have more space. We need to go to 2 suitcases for everybody. The floor is yours, Rick. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, we already talked about this, Greg. ESPN owns the suitcase. They won't own the second suitcase.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And that's the only thing stopping the second suitcase.
Yeah.
They're willing to go to a larger suitcase from 12 to 16 cubic inches. But 24, 212, no. No, they don't own that. They don't control it.
Yep. No, you are correct.
Now,
you are correct, sir.
Now the silos.
Yep.
I think I can live with conference silos if it ends there. So that it's only 12 games in your silo.
But if the silo means that we can't, are you saying you're okay with the silos as long as there's some mixing going on when it comes to the playoffs? Or are you thinking silo playoffs as well?
No silo playoffs.
Okay.
Silo regular season only.
Yep.
I think that could work.
I just don't want it. I don't want it. But man, the people are really. You can see the signals coming from everywhere.
But what I really want to know is what your good connections, like BTM, think are going to happen. What's the Big Ten going to do?
Yeah, I don't know.
SEC goes into that silo. Because they got to have a plan. They got to have a contingency plan.
They got to have a plan. You're correct. You are correct. And I really have not. I mean, I'm really going to have another. I'm going to have to poke and prod on that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because even if it's something you don't want to have happen, you still have to prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
And networks are probably preparing for it. I mean, ESPN has so much control. They're literally, I wish somebody would disagree with me, but I really think that they're deciding for the SEC.
I think there's a lot of truth to that, Rick.
And because of that, they're not going to allow the change unless it behooves them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to figure out a way where it might, well, I guess left alone, the 12-game playoff would continue until when? When's the last one?
31.
31?
I think so. 30 or 31. I think it goes to 31.
Okay.
Let's see. Maybe 30. Maybe 30. 30 or 31.
Okay. But then something has to be done.
Yeah, something has to be done. I think it's 31 though. That's why I think like the North Dakota State Athletic Director talks about how the demarcation line is 2032. I think people are looking at, the playoffs in 2032 are going to be under a entirely new media contract. So this current contract must go to 31 playoffs, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Well, I'll leave you with this. I think the SEC and ESPN are going to look at things a whole lot differently after this 9-conference game season is completed, and they see all of the teams who aren't going to the playoffs from the SEC.
Yes.
Who are left behind.
Yes.
And what could happen with Greg's 24.
Yeah. I think you're on something, or you're on something, but I think you're on to something, Rick.
Yeah, it's going to be a reality check.
Yes, it is.
Because there's going to be some ties.
Yeah.
There's going to be some 9 and 3s.
Oh, yeah.
And some will get in and some won't.
Yeah.
And it'll drive them absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for taking
the
call.
Great call, sir. Great calls. Patron, Christopher Hooter, Rick, beautiful calls. Thank you guys so very much. We've got ourselves the second super chat of the night. T-Town Hawk. T-Town Hawk. Rock, Chalk, Jayhawk. $2 holla. Second suitcase cost is out of control. Spirit Airlines. Second suitcase cost is out of control. Thank you so very much. 2034, it doesn't go to 2034. It either, this current playoff contract goes to 2030 or 2031. And I'm 50-50 on either one of those years. But it does not go to 2034. But thank you, T-Town Hawk. I appreciate the $2 holler. Thank you for your generosity. I also want to thank Helmer Hennison for his $2 holler. The 2 super chats we received tonight. Thank you guys for your generosity. It helps us keep the lights on and grow the channel. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Ring that notification bell. Smash the like button. Appreciate you guys so very much. Thank you for the great comments. Thank you for the great phone calls. It was a stacked show. We did a little PATC rendition. We sang Fleetwood Mac. Hope you all enjoyed that. I didn't get ripped too bad in the comments section. Not too much rippage going on. A little bit here, a little bit there. Not too bad. It looks like I got away with a pretty brutal performance. Skaven, yes. My cats just ran off. Thanks, Greg. Sorry, Skaven, yes. I do apologize for that. Very difficult song. Very difficult song to perform a cappella. But the Southeastern Conference forced me to sing that song tonight. So if you missed it, go back and watch it. PATC rendition. You Can Go Your Own Way, Fleetwood Mac. One of my worst performances ever, I have to say. Buckle up, brace for impact. We're going to be live Wednesday, February 25th, talking about everything in college football. I cannot wait to see what happens tomorrow. Hopefully this is an entertaining national college football YouTube channel. Spread the word of college football PATC. I very much appreciate it. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peak Around the Corner, to all of you, please y'all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.